There are anime characters who smoke and instantly become 30% cooler. The guy leans against a wall, lights a cigarette, squints a little, and boom, it feels like he knows something about life that you don't. Now, imagine taking that exact idea and doing the complete opposite. The cigarette doesn't make the character cool, it doesn't make her mysterious, and it gives off zero aura. It just leaves her broke, stinking, with an apartment that looks like a dump, making choices that would make any normal person think, Jesus girl, for the love of God. That is basically Yaneko's entire existence. And that's why I think Yanineko is a slightly more interesting anime than it seems. Because looking from the outside, this thing seems super easy to figure out. It's the gross, smoking cat girl anime. You've got a cute cat girl doing repulsive stuff, a ton of poop jokes, and scenes clearly made to make you watch and think, what the F word am I watching? But the more I thought about it, the more I wondered, is all this grossness just there for shock value, or does it actually serve a purpose? To me, the fairest answer is, it depends on the grossness. Because when Yanineko works, it takes that perfect, cute, cuddly cat girl fantasy, basically made to sell merch, and completely destroys it. But when it doesn't work, sometimes it really is just a poop joke. There's not much to defend there. Yanineko is a comedy about Yaniko, a 21-year-old cat girl who is hopelessly addicted to cigarettes. She lives alone, struggles to hold down a job, is always tight on cash, and basically plans her entire life around smoking. And looking at her face, you'd never guess the creature that lives inside. Look at Yaniko. If I showed just one picture of her to someone who's never seen the anime, they'd probably guess she's one of those wholesome slice of life characters. Cat ears, white hair, a cute face, a super marketable design, except Yaniko is practically a biological weapon. The story makes a point of treating her as someone dirty, lazy, reeking of cigarettes, and living in a filthy room. And that creates a contrast that seems like a dumb joke, but it's exactly what sets her apart from a ton of other anime characters. Because an anime cat girl is almost always a fantasy. Even when there's no romance involved, you usually know exactly what the creators are doing. They take a cute character, slap on some cat ears, maybe give her a sweet personality, and boom, instant manufactured affection. Yanineko takes that expectation and asks, okay, but what if she were a completely dysfunctional adult? She isn't just an ugly character doing gross things. The punchline is exactly that. She keeps that incredibly cute appearance, while everything you learn about her life goes in the exact opposite direction. It's like buying a really nice box of chocolates, opening it up, and finding an ashtray inside. And the anime doesn't take long to make that clear. Right off the bat, Yaniko is desperate for a smoke, even digging around for cigarette butts. And her life is shown as a series of increasingly humiliating decisions caused by her addiction. Jobs falling through, having no money, a nasty apartment, and the cigarettes constantly beating out any attempt at common sense. But if Yanineko were just about a gross character, I think the joke would get old really fast. You see her do something absurd, you laugh or feel grossed out, you see another one and another one, and eventually you get the point. Yeah, she's a slob. Next, the cigarettes are what give a lot of this some logic. Because Yaniko's addiction isn't just a visual quirk. It's not like Sanji with a cigarette in his mouth and that's it. It's just part of his design. For Yaniko, cigarettes actively mess with her life. She doesn't have much money, but she buys cigarettes. She needs to work, but smoking gets in the way. She knows she's living a miserable life, but she keeps smoking. The people around her see the problem, she occasionally sees it herself, and yet a minute later, she's doing the exact same thing. And I honestly find that way more interesting than the comedy itself. Because addiction in fiction is sometimes this weirdly beautiful thing. You take a broken character, put a cigarette in their mouth, add some dramatic lighting, and boom, it looks deep. In real life, self-destructive habits are usually way less stylish. Self-destructive stuff is so easy to romanticize when you only show the visually cool parts of it. Cigarettes are probably one of the biggest examples of this. How many characters look cooler simply because they're smoking? With Yaniko, you don't get that. She's the post-credits scene to that fantasy. She's the part where the smell sticks to your clothes, the part where you're broke, the part where you get pissed off because you couldn't smoke, the part where what maybe started as a choice becomes the thing that's bossing you around. And then you get this really great contradiction. Yaniko seems totally free. She lives how she wants, doesn't really care about other people's expectations, giving off major my life, my problem energy, but she can't go without a cigarette. So how free is this creature, really? If your money, job, and decisions start revolving around one thing, at some point, that thing is the one calling the shots. And Yaniko is funny precisely because she would probably never describe the situation like that. She doesn't wake up and do a monologue saying, wow, I'm trapped in a cycle of dependency. Nope, she just wants to smoke. Several times it feels like now she's gonna get it together. She realizes there's a problem, gets freaked out, tries to clean up her house or her life, and then goes right back to the same behavior. That can make her annoying. Actually, I think it needs to make her annoying. If the character said she was quitting smoking and just quit in the next episode, the whole concept would lose half its charm. Because anyone who's ever seen someone try to kick a bad habit knows how repetitive it is. I'll quit on Monday. Then Monday rolls around. No, but something stressful happened today. Next week. Then next week comes. Now I'm gonna cut back. And then she doesn't. Yaniko seems permanently stuck in that phase. But there's another thing that keeps Yanineko from just being the story of a miserable smoker. Little by little, you realize she isn't exactly surrounded by the most functional people on the planet. This universe feels like a convention for people who need to get their lives together. Yakuneko, who idolizes Yaniko. Haim Neko, a streamer and gamer, Kansai Neko, a college student who is pretty and stylish, but desperate to be funny without actually having the talent for it, and Al Neko, a 24-year-old college student who's already been held back a year and is basically drowning in booze. It's quite the squad. You look at them and instantly get why nobody there has staged an intervention for Yaniko. The person doing the intervention would probably need one too. And this is where the anime gets a cool second layer, because Yaniko stops looking like a solo freak show. Everyone is a little broken. In different ways, sure, but you have this group of young adults who theoretically hit that age where they should start having their lives figured out. Yet clearly, nobody got the memo. And maybe that's the part of the show I like the most, because when you're younger, it seems like adults know what they're doing. Then you grow up and find out that's not really how it is. Yani Neko takes this to the extreme, obviously, but there's something relatable there. People with no real prospects, stuck in a habit, and putting off problems they know they should fix. But there's an important detail that keeps this story from getting totally bitter. Even though Yaniko is a disaster, the anime doesn't seem to hate her. Her sister, Imoko, is probably the best example. She is basically Yaniko's total opposite. She's responsible, serious, and constantly ends up dealing with the fallout of Yaniko's choices. She's hard on her precisely because she cares about her, and that changes the tone a lot. The anime makes fun of Yaniko big time, but it still lets her have friendships, people who care, and good moments, even though she's nowhere close to solving her own issues. She's still irresponsible and makes idiotic choices, but she's not just boiled down to her flaws. Now, having said all that, I need to pump the brakes a bit, because pretty soon it's gonna sound like I'm trying to convince you guys that Yani Neko is Crime and Punishment with cat ears. Hold up. This anime has a lot of gross stuff because it actually just likes gross stuff too. There are scenes where the gross out humor works because it shows how far her addiction has pushed her. There are scenes where it works because it shatters her cute image. There are scenes that turn an everyday situation into something totally humiliating. And there are scenes where someone just thought farts were funny. That's it. There's no secret deep meaning. And that overkill, for me, is the anime's biggest flaw. If you show me Yaniko considering doing something totally degrading because she's desperate for a smoke that says something about her, you can laugh and at the same time think, wow, she is really screwed up. But if 5 minutes later you hit me with a 6th scatological joke in a row, there comes a point where my brain just checks out. All right, there's poop, got it. The shock value wears off. And there's a massive difference between an anime being purposely repulsive and thinking that just being repulsive automatically makes it funny. It doesn't. Honestly, Yani Neko would be better if it trusted its own characters a bit more, because the concept of Yaniko is already funny. Her looking for a job, trying to live with someone responsible, or justifying her smoking already works. The character is the joke. And that's why, for me, the best part of Yani Neko isn't when it tries to find the grossest thing it can put on screen. It's when you look at that incredibly cute cat girl and realize that absolutely nothing in her life matches her looks. Anime normally uses pretty characters to sell a fantasy. Yani Neko uses a pretty character to reel you in and then make you regret it. And the cigarettes fit into that perfectly. Visually, smoking can look stylish. In Yaniko's reality, it's pathetic. A broken character might seem mysterious. She's just tired, broke, and making bad choices. Even that I don't give a crap freedom starts to look more like a lack of control than actual freedom. And I don't think that turns Yani Neko into some genius critique on addiction. I don't even know if that was the creator's main goal, but it works. Maybe it works precisely because the anime doesn't stop to explain itself. Yaniko doesn't look at the camera and give a public service announcement about smoking. She just grabs a cigarette. That is the lesson. You look at her life and think, I really do not want to end up like that. So I think it's kind of unfair to boil Yani Neko down to the gross smoking cat anime. I mean, it is that, 100%. But the interesting part is figuring out why that combo works. Yaniko needed to be cute for the contrast to work. The cigarettes needed to be treated as something pathetic for the character to work. And the other characters needed to be equally kind of messed up, so the show stops feeling like just a humiliation festival for the main character and becomes more of a story about a group of dysfunctional adults trying to get by. At the end of the day, I don't think the grossness is what makes Yani Neko good. The quality is when the grossness actually reveals something, when it shows how much Yaniko has lost control, when it destroys that cute character fantasy, when it makes an addiction look like the exact opposite of cool, when it shows that this seemingly funny, carefree person is living a life that probably no one here would actually choose for themselves. That's when it works. When it's just the 10th joke about some bodily fluid, I'm not gonna sit here and make excuses for it. It's just gross. And maybe that's the weirdest thing about this anime. It manages to be one of the most childish things you could ever watch, while also having a protagonist who represents an incredibly adult problem. I still don't know if this was a genius combo or a highly successful accident, but now I want to hear from you guys. Is there actually some depth to Yani Neko using all this grossness to show the pathetic side of addiction and these totally broken characters? Or are we just intellectualizing a stinky cat? Because honestly, both answers still seem totally possible. So tell me what you think in the comments. Is there really something more to all of Yani Neko's grossness? Or did we just go way too far trying to analyze a chain-smoking good-looking cat living in her own mess. Also, let me know which anime you guys want me to check out next, because I'm always reading through your suggestions. Anyway, that's all for today, and please don't be like Yaniko. See you in the next one.